Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be looking at Robinhood's managed Roth IRA, which is called Robinhood Strategies. And of course, we're going to compare it against a regular Roth IRA, which is also on Robinhood. I've deposited a little bit of money into these accounts to experiment exactly how this looks in diversification. So let's dive into it right now. Obviously, we can see the setup here is pretty straightforward. We have 1 week, we have 1 month, and of course, and so forth. But I have not actually had this very long. I just opened it because I wanted to see exactly how it would perform in a choppy market like we are currently in. We can see it's fluctuating. And of course, we have taken some extreme dives there because of where the market is. But I think most importantly here, what I want to talk about here is I want to talk about the portfolio. So here was what interested me in this. So we can see US stocks right here are 77.92%. We have US bonds at 6.53%. We have international stocks at 14.08%. And we have a little bit of cash at just under a percentage at 0.75. Now, those are the percentages. Now we actually look at the dollar amounts. Here is actually how they break it up. You can see $1,061.51 is in US stocks. We have about $88.90 in US bonds, which is nice to see. And then international stocks, $201.69. And we have a small cash buffer at $10.22. If we look at the interface, it's pretty straightforward. So let's dive into US stocks. And this is exactly how they group it together. This is why I wanted to bring this to you all. So here is how they actually break it up. We have US stocks, we have growth stocks, we have large cap, we have value, mid cap, and of course we have also the very last one, which is an interesting pick right here. It's actually an SPDR S&P Aerospace and Defense ETF, but we will look at it in just a moment. But anyway, the point is that we can see exactly how this is split up. We have Alphabet, we have Google, Amazon, Broadcom, Nvidia, Microsoft, Eli Lilly, excuse me if I pronounced that incorrectly right there. We have Walmart, Johnson & Johnson. Of course, you can pause the video and take a look at this in greater detail. I'm not going to read every single one for you, but you can see the big ones. Spotify, MasterCard, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, TJ Maxx, Meta Platforms. And of course, we have a large chunk right there in the S&P 500 at 28.42%. I think that's a smart decision. Overall, I think that is good. It's interesting that they picked the iShares instead of VOO. So it's just something to note on that. Of course, we have Fifth Third Bank, Bank of America, and of course, just a couple of other ones there on the back. And you can see exactly how they split this up, right? 35%, 0.68, and we can see 28.42%. We can see 7.97% right there. And of course, feel free to pause this video and look at these a little closer. I just want to go over this really quickly with you all. Let's dive on to the next one right now. We look at US bonds, we can only see that we are in the iShares 0 to 3 month treasury bond. We can see the allocation right there, and we can actually see the amount right there. Let's jump back to the other page. If we look at international stocks right here, we can see exactly how it looks. We can see where they are. I'm not too familiar with all these companies, but again, feel free to stop and we can actually take a look in another video on these, but I'm just going through it quickly because we don't have time to go through every single one. And this is exactly how they manage it. Europe, Japan, and of course, the very last option is an ETF, which I like to see that they're actually diversifying like that, but this is what they're holding on to right there. Let's jump back onto the other page. So we can see exactly how they diversified here. And of course, we have cash at the very last one. If we dive into that one, it's a cash swap, and we can see the allocation, and we can see exactly how it works, and we can see the APY right there. That is what it is listed at as this recording of this video at 3.50% APY. So not too bad. Let's jump back again. And we can see overall the interface is pretty straightforward. What I actually do like is this future right here. So we can actually see exactly how this is going to work. This is what's pretty cool about this. So we can actually do 2 different options. We can do a one-time contribution, or we can do a monthly contribution. Now we can see, let's say monthly contribution, right? We're maxing out our Roth IRA. We can actually see exactly how much that would look like. And we can even stop it right there. And we can see theoretically by the age of 61 here, this is what it would be. And we can also see exactly where that would be going back and forth and how that changes, right, on the performance. Theoretically at 61 years old, look at how high of a performance that would be. And it's pretty nice to see just from a $600 contribution a month. And we cannot go beyond that. That is what it looks like. Pretty straightforward. Love that slick interface. It's not too bad. And let's do a one-time contribution just to see the difference. Let's just say we were to do that, see it exceeds the limit. But of course, we want to max out the Roth IRA, right? right? So let's go and to the exact amount right about there. Let's see, 6,300. There you go. So if we were to put in 6,300 today and not touch it for 30 years and it were to compound, that's how much it could theoretically compound to. So it's pretty interesting to see how fast that can compound to. And I love to see exactly how this works. And of course, if we just left this amount and didn't touch it in 30 years, that's exactly what it would turn into, about 21,000. But on the higher end, you know, it could even be a little upwards of 80K. But I like how straightforward that is. Let's jump back onto the main page right now. So that's pretty much it as regarding the Robinhood strategies. Let's dive into the actual Roth IRA that I put together, and we're going to talk about the differences. All right, now we are on the regular Roth IRA here. So this is what it looks like. I've actually had this one open a lot longer. So just to kind of experiment and see how I like the interface of Robinhood. That's why I have not put too much money in, because I wanted to see exactly how it would perform and exactly where this would go. So we can see the performance, and what do I currently have here, right? I have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum, I have WGMI, which is a Bitcoin mining, and then I have gold, silver, and a little bit of open stock right there. So not too much, but notice we don't have as much interaction here. We don't really know the future value, so it's not as intuitive. And I noticed that that's what the benefit of having the strategy is. Of course, you know, they're charging a fee. It's 0.25%, which is nothing, but still it's a fee. But it's nice to see that versus what we're seeing here. And of course, we can see all time right there, 90%, you know, where this was back then. And of course, we can see that dip back there on March 31st, 2025, when we had all those tariff scares, of course. Now, not much else information right here. We can see I've deposited some money in there, bought some things, but not too much in that aspect. But I really like to see the clean interface. And of course, we can dive into one of these. Let's just go into gold, for example, right in here. So we can see exactly how Robinhood allocates this, right? We can see it's pretty straightforward. My total return when I bought it, right? Gold has been on a rampage this year. It's pretty crazy, around 53.38%. So it's nice to see, but overall, it's been pretty good. We can see all this information and of course, any other things that we want to look at right there. And then let's jump on back to the main page right now. So it's pretty straightforward. You manage your own account on here, but the difference with Robinhood strategies is they're managing your account. Let me know if you have any more questions or want to talk about a specific topic here on the channel. As always, thanks for supporting the channel, and I will see you in the next video.